Hello. Machines. We have heard about this term called as machines. Now my question will be, what is a machine? The simple answer is, machine is a device which reduces human efforts. Now as an engineer, we are creating all those machines for the mankind to reduce the human effort. The area of study of these machines, I can call this, or we are calling this as the theory of machines. Now what is theory of machines then? The theory of machines is, I can say, as an applied science for what? It is an applied science to understand what? Understand relationship. Now relationship of what? The relationship between the geometry and the motion of parts involved in a machine. So when we say machine, geometry and motion of parts, now why parts? Now when we say machine, a machine is not just a single component equipment. It is comprising of so many components or physical bodies involved in it. So it is to understand the relationship between the geometry and the motion of the various parts or interrelated parts, and as well the forces that produce these motions. So for us, then what are the key words involved in this are definitely, certainly the most important, motion, the forces which are causing these motions to happen, of what, and the various parts or the physical entities which are involved in a machine. Now if we see, now what can be the aspects? There has to be definitely certain aspects of study. Now if we see, the aspect of study, main important aspect of the study of theory of machines will be one, the analysis, and the other is design, or I can say the synthesis of a machine. Now I have not used one term which is called as mechanisms. I will come into it on the latter part of the study. Now if we see, then my question will be, then what is analysis and what is synthesis or design? Now design is a simple process. It is a process of rather prescribing, to prescribe the various size, shape, arrangement of what? Arrangement of various components which are involved. Now for what? To have the required or to do the required task. Now that means I can say design is to work from scratch to get a particular device to do the required task for me. And then what is analysis? The other aspect of the study. Analysis is a simple process of, it is the process of evaluation. Evaluation of what? Evaluation of a simple machine which we have designed. So like I have designed one machine, now I have to evaluate because I am creating it or I am designing it to perform some specific task. Now whether I am able to achieve that required level of work, I need to have an evaluation. So the process by which I am evaluating is called as analysis. That means in this process there are various scientific methods are involved, wherein I am able to find out the interacting alternatives to achieve the required level of task which I want to achieve. Fine. So that is how we can move further with this. Now to move into details of this, we need to have a detailed study, wherein now there I have to move into a specific branch of area or area of study which we are calling it as mechanics. All of us have heard about this term, mechanics, right? Now what is mechanics? Mechanics is the branch where we are dealing with motion, time, and the forces. The moment we are talking about a machine, now we are saying a machine, we have seen so many machines, like if I take an example of a car, or for that a robot arm. So simply if I to understand a robot arm will be a very simple thing to understand, like I have to design, or rather I have designed a robot arm just to perform a task of pick and place. So now still I need at least 3-4 components to perform this task. So I need to understand the motions, like I have to pick an object from a location A and I have to place it at location B. So I need to understand what kind of motion is required. Second, time. Now at what duration, at what time I should be able to perform this task. Maybe I need 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 1 second, 2 seconds. So that means I need to understand as well as the time. So things should be clear in my mind. So I need to understand what is the motion so required, the time at which I'll have to perform this task, and definitely what I am picking up, whether I am picking up a simple pen and placing it at some other place, or I am picking up some workpiece from station 1 and placing it to some other place. Maybe it is some machine component or something machining is going on a manufacturing process line. So that means I also as well need to understand what are the forces involved in the system. Right. So if we see this study of mechanics, if we get into details, we are subdividing this entire study of mechanics basically into 2 parts, or we are doing the study in 2 parts. One, we are calling it as the statics, wherein we are involved with the geometry. Static means you have heard about statics, wherein no time relationship is coming into the picture, and the other is the dynamics. That means in case of dynamics, the time is also coming into the picture. So in case of statics, there is no question of motion of a body or relative motion of a body in the system. For example, if I am doing static analysis, maybe of a table or a chair, it is just static. It is placed somewhere, it is there. So I am trying to understand the load conditions or maybe the stability of that particular component, wherein there is no question of time involved in it. And the second part or the other detailed study is dynamics, wherein the change in position or location which is happening, so that will be dynamics. Now, even to get into the detailed study of dynamics, I can again we need to have, or we have subdivided the study of dynamics again into two aspects. One is the kinematics, and the second is the kinetics. Now, what is kinematics? Now, in Greek, kinema means motion. So, when we are saying that machine, so if mechanics, I can say that it relates to a machine. Now, machine will be definitely comprised of various components. So it may have some statical parts or maybe some frame or something like that. So one part goes into the detailed study of statics. The other part where the relative motion of the bodies or the components is involved. So I need to understand the dynamics. Of course, when I am saying relative motion or motion happening in the system, then certainly there has to be involvement of forces. Now, maybe in a case like if I've taken the example of a robot arm. Now, I have an objective of designing a robot arm to pick an object from station A and place it on station B. Here I am not concerned about what it is going to pick up. What my concern is the locations only. I have to pick from one place and place it on the other place. So I am least bothered about what are the forces required. So when I am understanding only the motion, when I am trying to understand only motion, that area of study is called as the kinematics. And the area where I am as well involving the cause of motion. Definitely, when I say cause of motion, definitely, certainly, if I want to move a body from one place to another place, I need some force to move it. So when I am involving the cause of motion into the study, that area will get into the area of kinetics. So as a whole, we can say this is how we are getting into the system, right? Or the study of mechanics. So now analogous to it, so if I say for mechanics, I am applying it to the entire machine, right? Now earlier I have used one term which is called as, I have used the term mechanism. This is one term, machine. The other term which I have used is mechanism. So then what is mechanism? Certainly a machine will definitely have various mechanisms involved in it. Now what is mechanism? Mechanism is arrangement of various components, interrelated components together, wherein they are giving me a desired motion. Right? Wherein I am trying to understand the arrangement of these components together to give me desired motion. Like I have quoted the example of a robot arm. Now I have arranged these components together so that I can simply pick one object from a station 1 and place it at station 2. So here I am least bothered about what I am picking up. What my concern is that this entire arrangement should move or have motion from one location to other location. So whatever we are trying to understand or designing, this area of study is called as the kinematics, wherein we are framing a mechanism to do the job. And when we are involving the cause of these motions entirely, then we are talking about definitely the machine. So in other words, we can say a machine is a mechanism because I need to do some work. Earlier we have started with a machine is to reduce human effort. So there has to be some useful work done. So when it is work done, there has to be displacement of the body. So there is definitely motion. So in case of a machine, there is motion involved, but as well as there is power or energy, forces, torques. These things are also, or these parameters are also involved. Whereas in kinematics, if I simply think about a mechanism, the mechanism is talking about only the motion aspect and not the cause of the motion, right? So that is how I can say that our study will be. Now we will be moving on after this lecture, or we are restricting our study only into the kinematics or trying to understand motion. So when we say motion, then what is motion means, what are the things involved in our analysis will be definitely displacement, number one. So we have to understand displacement. Second thing, when there is displacement, there has to be rate of change of displacement. So we are talking about velocity. And the rate of change of velocity, certainly, so that means we are talking about acceleration. So these three things will be involved in the study of kinematics. We are not involving the cause of the motion into the system.